you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Perry.
Where do you work?
I work for Mesa Police Forensic Services.
How long have you worked there?
It'll be 23 years next month.
And what are your current duties?
My current duties are to supervise the evidence processing unit.
What were your duties back in 2019 and 2020?
I was a forensic scientist assigned to the biology unit, which meant that I analyzed evidence of a crime for the presence of biological materials, substances that would yield a DNA profile, be it skin cells or a body fluid.
Can you tell us your education and training to work in that area?
Yes, I have a science background with a bachelor's of science in marine biology with a chemistry minor from Western Washington University. After some times in some biotechnology labs, I started my career with Mesa Forensics, where I entered their rigorous internal training program. After completion of that by qualified analysts, I also took training by the California Criminalistics Institute and National Forensic Science Technology Center in body fluid identification.
Back in January, end of December, January of 2020, were you responsible for often preparing swabs that were taken at scenes of potential biological material for DNA testing?
Yes, I was.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that means and what that process is?
When swabs have already been collected at a scene, what I will do is receive them from our evidence section, or they'll be transferred to us from another agency's evidence section. I will prepare my workspace to handle the evidence, meaning that I will we will wear a lab coat and goggles and gloves and things that will protect me from the evidence, and the evidence will be protected from me. I will clean my lab space with 90% bleach solution. I will put down clean paper and have sterile utensils that I will work on to analyze the items of evidence. When I look at the item of evidence, I'm going to take detailed notes and then open it up, identify the contents, take copious notes again, and then I'm going to remove swab material from those sticks. They are similar to like a sterile Q-tip. So that is what I'm receiving. I'm going to remove that swab material from those sticks and portion half of it to go forward for DNA analysis, and the other half is going to be retained should further testing ever be required. And then that little tube will go into a sealed envelope in order for a DNA analyst to analyze it.
Going back to January, I think 2nd of 2020, were you provided with several swabs from the Gilbert Police Department in relation to this case?
Yes, I was.
And were those swabs, can you tell us, are they sealed? How do you know that they haven't been tampered with when you received them?
Well, I would need to refer to my specific notes, but my notes would indicate whether or not they had been tampered, how they appeared, the packaging appeared, and I make notes that they are properly tape sealed, dated, and initialed with an integrity seal.
So you are the one that has to unseal them and open them up?
Yes.
Would looking at your notes help refresh your recollection as to whether or not that occurred here?
It would.
Do you have a copy of them up there with you?
I do. May I look at them?
Take a look at them to refresh your recollection and let us know after you're done with that.
Go ahead.
And each item still had its integrity seal. I noted how it was packaged, what it was labeled, and nothing appeared to have been tampered with.
Were you provided with a swab 645889 indicated as a swab from a steering wheel?
Yes, I was.
Were you provided with a swab 6458 swab from the driver's side seatbelt?
Yes, I was.
Were you provided with a swab 645893 swab from the gear shift?
Yes, I was.
Were you provided with a swab 645890 from the passenger side interior door handle?
Yes, I was.
Were you provided with swab 645895 swabs from the lug nuts of a spare tire?
Yes, I was.
Were you provided with swab 645896, a swab from the driver's side interior handle?
Yes, I was.
What did you do then specifically in this case with each of those swabs?
As I stated previously, I would remove that swab material from each of the swab sticks. I would portion out half of it to go forward in a tube for DNA analysis. It would be labeled with its original parent property ID number that she just listed off, plus an an extra set of letters to identify that it came from that parent item. So the number she provided is the parent. And then I basically made what we call babies, little cuttings that came off of that. So it would add an AA that would go forward for DNA analysis, and it would have an AB that was going to be retained in the lab should the future testing ever be necessary. So I put it in a tube. I had that label on that. That label went into a clear envelope that I heat sealed and had my integrity seal, with my date and initials on top of that. And then that went into the DNA queue for another analyst.
So at the Mesa Police Department at that time, would another analyst come in and take those cuttings that you created to attempt to create DNA profiles from each of those items?
That is what would happen, yes.
And so in terms of your involvement, were you involved in doing any type of analysis for this case?
No, I wasn't, just preparing the samples.
And did that sort of end your involvement in this case, creating those cuttings?
Yes, it did.
Thank you. The state has no further questions for this witness.
Cross.
No questions, Your Honor.
Any questions for this witness from the jury? I don't see any. You can step down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go get my next witness.